Mary looked at the armor cube and data crystal. Two species, one threat, and somehow she was connected to both. Her mind raced with questions, but one thought dominated all others. She needed to get this information to Earth. "I need to report this," Mary said, moving toward the communication console. "My superiors need to know," Vex nodded. "The others of my kind arrive soon. Your leaders will want to meet them, but I came to you first. Because of what you are. Because some battles need warriors who understand. Both sides." She watched Mary with careful eyes. Mary picked up the cube, feeling it pulse in response to her touch like it recognized her on some fundamental level. The sensation was strange, but not unpleasant. It felt right somehow, like finding something she hadn't known was missing. "And if I refuse this alliance?" Mary asked, needing to understand all options. Vex looked out the viewport at the stars. "Then we all die separately instead of having a chance together." Her voice was flat, stating a simple truth. Mary made her decision. She would take this alien technology, this warning, and her new understanding of herself back to Earth. She would prepare her people for what was coming. But first she needed to understand more. "How do I use this armor?" Mary asked, weighing the cube in her hand. "It feels alive." Vex stepped closer. "It is in some ways the armor bonds with its wearer. Creates a link. Think of it as a partnership, not a tool. Place it against your skin, and think of protection." Mary hesitated for a moment, then pressed the cube against her wrist. The effect was immediate. The cube seemed to melt, flowing across her skin like liquid metal. It spread up her arm, across her shoulders, and down her torso, until she was completely covered in the strange material. It was lighter than it looked, moving with her, not against her. The sensation was strange but exhilarating. Mary could feel the armor adjusting to her body temperature, becoming comfortable. The inside surface seemed to pulse against her skin, like a second heartbeat. She looked down at herself. The armor was beautiful, shifting colors like oil on water, but predominantly a deep blue with hints of silver. It covered her completely but felt like wearing nothing at all. A helmet formed around her, head completing the protection. Suddenly, Mary's vision changed. She could see energy signatures, heat patterns, and information scrolling across her field of view. The armor was enhancing her senses. "This is amazing," Mary breathed. Her voice sounded different, through the armor deeper, more resonant. "The armor will teach you," Vex said. Her own voice came through clearly, as if she were speaking directly into Mary's mind. "It contains knowledge gathered over centuries. It will show you how to use its abilities, but the process takes time." Mary moved, experimenting with the armor. It responded to her thoughts more than her movements, allowing her to move with incredible grace. She felt stronger, faster, more aware of everything around her. "The data crystal," Vex said, gesturing to the small object still on the table. "The armor can absorb it. Show it to your scientists later. But first you should understand what it contains." Mary picked up the crystal, and to her surprise, the armor formed a small opening near her palm. The crystal slipped inside and information flooded her mind. Star maps, weapon schematics, transmission codes, but most disturbing, images of the enemy Vex had warned about. They were massive, shadowy creatures with too many limbs and eyes that absorbed light rather than reflected it. Their ships were like cities in space, angular and wrong somehow, as if they violated the natural laws of the universe. Mary saw worlds burning, populations enslaved or worse, consumed. She felt sick with the knowledge. "They call themselves the Void Hunters," Vex explained. "They believe they are the only true sentient species in the universe. All others are merely resources to be harvested. They see your kind and mine as cattle, nothing more." Mary struggled to process the horror of what she was seeing. "How do we fight something like this?" she asked. "We adapt. We evolve. We become stronger together." Vex touched the armor on Mary's arm. It shimmered at the contact. "This is just the beginning. With your human ingenuity and our technology, we can create defenses. The Void Hunters are powerful but not invincible. They have weaknesses. We just need time to exploit them. Mary nodded, thinking quickly. We need to return to Earth. The sooner we begin preparing, the better. Vex looked uncomfortable. I cannot go to your planet yet. My presence would cause panic. My ship must remain at a distance. You must be the messenger, Mary Sanders. You must convince your people of the truth. Mary understood the logic but didn't like it. She would sound crazy claiming to be part alien, warning about a cosmic threat. Even with the armor and data as proof, she would face resistance. There is one more thing, Vex said hesitantly. The armor has a function you should know about. It can alter your appearance, make you look fully human or fully Etarian. It might help you convince your leaders if they can see what you are. Mary was startled. Show me. Vex touched a pattern on Mary's armor. Think of your Etarian heritage. Focus on that part of yourself. Mary closed her eyes and concentrated. She felt a strange tingling sensation across her skin. The armor seemed to sink deeper into her, becoming part of her, rather than something worn. When she opened her eyes, Vex was staring at her. With an expression of wonder, Mary moved to the small mirror in her quarters and gasped. Her skin had taken on a slight lavender tint. Her eyes now shimmered with opalescence like Vex. The change wasn't complete. She still looked mostly human, but the alien features were unmistakable. This is what you truly are, Vex said softly. A bridge between worlds. The first of a new kind. Mary stared at her reflection. It was terrifying and fascinating all at once. With effort, she focused on her human side and watched as her appearance slowly returned to normal. The armor remained but now looked like standard space gear rather than alien technology. I think I understand why you came to me first, Mary said. Seeing is believing. My leaders need to see this transformation with their own eyes. Vex nodded. You learn quickly, Mary Sanders. Your mind adapts like a true Etarian, but you solve problems like a human. This combination is why we have hope. Mary began preparing her ship for the return journey to Earth. First, she needed to record everything. She activated the ship's log and began speaking. This is Captain Mary Sanders of the transport ship, Starlight Wanderer. At 800 hours, I made contact with an alien species calling themselves the Etarians. She paused. Looking at Vex, their representative Commander Vex has warned of an imminent threat to all intelligent life in our sector. I am returning to Earth with critical information and technology. The Etarians propose an alliance against this common enemy. I believe this warning to be genuine and the threat to be real. She ended the recording. Vex watched with approval. You handle yourself well for one who has just had her entire understanding of herself changed. Mary shrugged slightly, the armor moving. With her, I don't have time to fall apart. The stakes are too high. She began plotting the fastest course back to Earth. Vex touched her arm one more time. When you reach your homeworld, you will face resistance, skepticism, fear. The armor will protect you, but be careful who you trust. Even among your own kind, Mary nodded, understanding. I should warn you, my leaders will want proof. They may demand to meet you eventually. Of course, Vex said. Once you have prepared them, I will come. But first you must open their minds to the possibility. Other Etarian ships are already making contact with human colonies beyond Earth. We are spreading the warning as widely as possible. Mary finished her preparations and looked at Vex. I have so many questions about the Etarians, about my grandmother, about myself. But they will have to wait. We need to move quickly. Vex bowed slightly in what seemed to be a gesture of respect. Questions are the beginning of wisdom. Captain Sanders, when this crisis passes, I will tell you everything you wish to know about your heritage. For now, focus on the mission. Mary took a deep breath and activated the ship's engines. The journey back to Earth would take 3 days, even at maximum speed. She had that long to prepare what she would say to convince her superiors that everything they knew about humanity's place in the universe had just changed. The Starlight Wanderer pulled away from Vex's larger ship. Mary watched through the viewport as the alien vessel cloaked itself, becoming invisible against the backdrop of stars. The weight of responsibility settled on her shoulders. She was no longer just Mary Sanders' transport captain. She was something more. A messenger. A hybrid. A bridge between worlds and possibly humanity's best hope for survival. The journey back to Earth seemed endless. Mary spent most of the time learning about the armor and studying the data crystal Vex had given her. The more she learned, the more terrified she became. The Void Hunters had destroyed entire civilizations, far more advanced than humanity. They moved through space like a plague, consuming everything in their path. The armor taught her through images and sensations rather than words. Mary learned that it could generate shields, protect her from most weapons, and even allow her to survive in the vacuum of space for limited periods. Its most impressive feature was its adaptive nature. It learned from every encounter, becoming stronger, more efficient. It would never be the same for two wearers, always conforming to the specific needs and abilities of its host. When Earth finally appeared on her view screen, Mary felt both relief and dread. She had rehearsed what she would say 100 times, but still felt unprepared. How do you tell humanity they are not alone, and worse, that they face extinction? Earth control. This is Captain Mary Sanders of the Starlight Wanderer, requesting emergency landing clearance and immediate meeting with Admiral Kelly and the Defense Council Priority Alpha 1. She transmitted, knowing that such a request from a transport captain would raise eyebrows. There was a pause longer than normal. Then Earth Control responded. Starlight Wanderer, your request has been forwarded. Landing Pad 7 has been cleared for your arrival. Security will escort you to headquarters. Mary guided her ship through the atmosphere, feeling the familiar pull of Earth's gravity. The landing was smooth, the ship responding perfectly to her commands. As the engines powered down, she took a deep breath. The armor had reconfigured itself to look like standard fleet gear, hiding its true nature. She had the cube and crystal secured in a containment box, as predicted. Security was waiting. 6 armed officers led by a stern-faced woman Mary recognized. From her academy days, Captain Lynn nodded curtly. Sanders, what is this about? An Alpha 1 priority from a transport captain, better be good. Mary met her gaze. The most important discovery in human history. Lynn, alien contact. Lynn's expression didn't change. We need to debrief you immediately. The Admiral is waiting. She gestured to the officers who surrounded Mary as they walked. The Earth Defense Headquarters was a massive complex built after the Colony Wars. Its architecture was designed to impress and intimidate, with soaring ceilings and reinforced walls. Mary had been here before, but never under such circumstances. Never as the center of attention. Admiral Kelly was a legend in the fleet. A tall woman with silver hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. She stood as Mary entered her office, flanked by 3 other high-ranking officials. Mary recognized the defense minister and the chief of intelligence, but not the third, a thin man with calculating eyes. Sanders, the Admiral said, her voice clipped. Tell me why you've interrupted the Defense Council meeting. Mary placed the containment box on the Admiral's desk. I made contact with an advanced alien species called the Atarians, she began. They came with a warning and an offer of alliance. The room was silent as Mary recounted her meeting with Vex. She described the Atarian ship, the warning about the Void Hunters, and the proposed alliance. She could see the disbelief on their faces growing with each word. She needed to convince them. This is the proof, Mary said, opening the containment box. The crystal contains data, star maps, weapons, schematics, everything we need to prepare. She held up the small cube. And this is Atarian armor technology beyond anything we have. The thin man leaned forward, examining the items without touching them. How do we know this isn't some kind of weapon or trap? Mary met his gaze. The armor has already been tested, sir, by me. She stepped back and focused on the armor, willing it to reveal itself. The effect was dramatic. The standard fleet uniform seemed to melt away, revealing the shifting metallic surface of the Atarian armor. It flowed across her body like living mercury, settling into its true form. The officials gasped. Stepping back, and there's more, Mary said, focusing on her Atarian heritage as Vex had taught her. The sensation was now familiar. The tingling as her appearance changed. Her skin shifted to lavender, her eyes to opalescent shimmer. She heard the distinct sound of weapons being drawn. Still, Mary Sanders, she said quickly, raising her hands. This is part of what I learned. The Atarians have been watching humanity for generations. There have been hybrids experiments. I am descended from one of them. Admiral Kelly was the first to recover, ordering the security team to lower their weapons. Her eyes never left Mary. What happens next? Captain Sanders. Mary allowed her appearance to return to normal, though she kept the armor visible. They want an alliance. They believe that together we might stand against the Void Hunters. More Atarian ships are coming to meet with us. But they sent Vex to me first because of my heritage. To ease the shock, the defense minister looked skeptical. Why should we trust them? What do they gain from this alliance survival? Mary answered simply, the Void Hunters have nearly wiped out the Atarians. Their technology is advanced, but they lack our adaptability, our creativity. The enemy they described is methodical, unstoppable. By conventional means, we need their technology. They need our unpredictability. The chief of intelligence approached examining the armor with fascination. This material, it's like nothing I've ever seen, she said. It responds to thought. Mary nodded. It bonds with the wearer, becomes part of them. It can heal, protect, enhance the possibilities for our soldiers. Our explorers are endless. She turned to Admiral Kelly. We have 20 years, maybe less, to prepare the data. Crystal has everything we know about the Void Hunters, their weaknesses, their attack patterns. Admiral Kelly was silent for a long moment. Then she made her decision. This information goes nowhere outside this room, she ordered. For now, this is classified at the highest level. Sanders, you will work directly with our science team to analyze this technology. She looked at the others. We need to verify everything before we cause a panic, the thin man protested. The people have a right to know, Admiral. If this threat is real, Kelly cut him off sharply. When we know more, Counselor. When we can offer solutions, not just terror, we will inform the public when we are ready. She turned back to Mary. You understand what this means, Captain? Your life has just changed forever. Mary thought of Vex, of the images she'd seen of worlds burning. It changed the moment Vex contacted me, Admiral. The next weeks passed in a blur. Mary worked with the top scientists and engineers on Earth, studying the armor and crystal. The technology was beyond current human science, almost like magic. But the scientists were learning, adapting as humans always did. More reports came in of Atarian contact with outer colonies, always the same message. Warning alliance preparation. Mary stood in the testing chamber. As the scientists monitored the armor's capabilities, she had become their primary test subject, the only one who could fully utilize the alien technology. The armor responded to her in ways it didn't for others, confirming Vex's claim about her heritage doctor. Rose Abernathy, the lead scientist, watched as Mary demonstrated the armor's defensive capabilities. The shield easily deflected the test weapons. Amazing, she said for the 100th time. The way it anticipates attacks, adjusts its energy output. It's like it can see the future. Mary smiled. The armor learns from every encounter. It remembers patterns, predicts outcomes. The longer I wear it, the more efficient it becomes. Dr. Abernathy made notes on her tablet. The neural interface is unlike anything we've developed. The speed of information transfer alone could revolutionize our communication systems. She looked up at Mary. We need more of this armor, this technology. Mary nodded. We need an official alliance with the Atarians. They have ships, weapons, defenses. Everything we've seen so far is just the beginning. Dr. Abernathy looked troubled. Admiral Kelly is still hesitant. Politics, she sighed. Some in the government want to keep this quiet, develop the technology secretly. Others want full disclosure, a global defense initiative. It's a mess. Mary understood the dilemma. The news that humanity faced extinction would cause panic, but keeping it secret risked being unprepared. The Atarians had faced the same problems within their own civilization. Vex had told her. There was a commotion at the laboratory door. Mary turned to see Admiral Kelly entering with several security officers. Her expression was grim. Captain Sanders, she said formally. We have a situation. The Atarian vessel has returned, Vex. is requesting to speak with Earth leadership directly. The council is divided. Mary felt relief. Vex was back. This could change everything. Is she here? Kelly nodded. Her ship is in orbit. Security is escorting her down now. The council has agreed to meet. Her, but only with you present. They still don't trust this alliance. She looked Mary over. The armor stays in the lab? Mary shook her head respectfully. The armor stays with me, Admiral. It is part of me now, and it will help convince the council that the Atarians are genuine. Kelly looked like she wanted to argue, but nodded curtly. Very well, but keep it looking like standard gear until I give the word. The council is already nervous enough. The meeting was set for the main conference room, a secure facility deep within Earth Defense Headquarters. Mary waited, anxiety building. As the door opened, she saw Vex for the first time since their meeting in space. The Atarian commander looked the same, tall, regal, her armor shifting colors as she moved. She was flanked by human security but seemed unbothered by their presence. Admiral Kelly called the meeting to order, her voice echoing in the tense silence of the conference room. We are here to discuss the proposed alliance between Earth and the Atarian people. She began formally. Commander Vex will present their case. Captain Sanders will serve as our liaison. Vex stood, her tall form commanding attention without effort. Her armor shifted colors as she moved, catching the light in ways that made it seem alive. She carried no weapons, but her presence alone was intimidating. People of Earth. She began, her voice melodic despite the serious nature of her words. I come before you as an ambassador of peace and necessity. Our worlds face a common enemy, one that threatens all sentient life. She gestured, and a holographic display appeared above the conference table. The image showed massive ships, dark angular vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The Void Hunters, she continued. They believe themselves to be the only true intelligent species in the universe. All others exist only to serve or be consumed. They have destroyed 12 advanced civilizations in the last century alone. Our intelligence suggests Earth is in their path. The council members watched in silence as the hologram showed the destruction of worlds, massive weapons firing from the Void Hunter ships, populations fleeing only to be hunted down, cities burning, entire planets left barren. We have fought them for generations, Vex said, her voice growing heavy with emotion. We have developed technologies, weapons, defenses. But we are losing this war. They adapt to our strategies, learn our patterns. They are coldly logical, relentless. But then she looked at Mary. We discovered humans. Mary felt every eye in the room turn to her. Humans are different, Vex continued. Your species thinks differently. You are unpredictable, creative. You see patterns and possibilities where we see only established facts. This is why we believe an alliance is our mutual salvation. Your adaptability, our technology. Together we might stand a chance. The defense minister leaned forward. His eyes narrowed. Why should we trust you, Commander? This could be an elaborate deception. A way to acquire our resources. Our world. Vex met his gaze without flinching. We have shared our most advanced technology with Captain Sanders. We have provided star maps, fleet positions, weapons schematics. We have held nothing back because there is no time for distrust. The Void Hunters will reach your solar system within 20 years, perhaps sooner. They do not negotiate, they do not show mercy. They simply take. The intelligence chief spoke next. How do we know these Void Hunters even exist? We have only your word. And these images, which could be fabricated. Mary stood. Then I can confirm everything Commander Vex has said. The armor has shown me. The crystal contains data that our scientists have verified. The star maps match our own observations. The technology is real. She looked around the table. I understand your skepticism. I felt the same. But the evidence is overwhelming, and there is more. Vex added, our people have been observing Earth for generations. We have watched you grow, develop. We saw potential in your species. We even conducted experiments. She looked at Mary, again. Some of your people carry Atarian DNA. The result of early attempts at creating a bridge between our species. The room erupted in shocked murmurs. The defense minister slammed his hand on the table. You experimented on humans, without consent, Vex. Remained calm. It was long ago before your modern ethical standards were established. We have since changed our approach, but those early experiments may prove our salvation. She gestured to Mary. Again, she looked at the council captain. Sanders is living proof of our shared potential. The armor responds to her as it would to an Atarian. It recognizes her dual nature. Admiral Kelly stood. Enough speculation, Captain Sanders, demonstrate. Mary nodded and concentrated. The armor responded immediately, shifting from its disguised state to its true form. The metallic surface flowed across her body, shimmering with energy. The council members gasped, some standing in alarm, and now Mary said, focusing on her Atarian heritage. Her skin took on the lavender tint, her eyes shifting to opalescence. Not a complete transformation, but enough to prove Vex claims. This is not a trick, she said, her voice steady. This is who I am, who some of us are. I am still human, still loyal to Earth, but I am also something more. And that connection may help us survive what's coming. The room was silent, everyone staring at Mary in her transformed state. Finally, Admiral Kelly spoke. The evidence is compelling, she admitted, but an alliance of this magnitude requires more than evidence. It requires trust. She turned to Vex. What exactly are you proposing? Vex stepped forward. We offer technology knowledge weapons. Our scientists would work with yours. Our warriors would train alongside yours. We would share everything. We know about the Void Hunters, their weaknesses, their patterns. We ask only the same in return. A true partnership between our species. The council members exchanged looks. Some seemed convinced, others still skeptical. The thin man Mary had noticed, in their first meeting, spoke up. How many other species have you approached with this alliance? Vex hesitated. 5 others. Those with potential. Those who might contribute uniquely to the fight. And how many accepted? The intelligence chief asked. 3. Vex answered. 2 were destroyed before preparations were complete. The implications hung heavy in the air. 3 other species somewhere in the galaxy preparing for the same threat. Mary wondered who they were, what they might bring to the Alliance. Admiral Kelly called for a recess. The council needs time to discuss this privately, she announced. Vex nodded. Understanding. Captain Sanders will remain with me, she added, when the council members had filed out. Mary turned to Vex. You didn't tell me about the other species. Vex looked apologetic. There is much I have not told you. Mary Sanders' time has been short, but yes, there are others. The Nelvari, a crystalline species with unique energy manipulation abilities. The Korriban insectoid warriors with hive, mind tactical capabilities. The Durrani aquatic engineers who build living ships. Each brings something unique to the Alliance. Each gives us hope. Mary was fascinated by the thought of these other species working toward the same goal. More allies meant better chances of survival. You should have mentioned them in your initial contact. It might have helped convince the council. Perhaps, Vex admitted, but humans are cautious by nature. Introducing too many unknown variables might have increased suspicion. She looked at Mary curiously. The armor has changed you. I can sense it becoming more attuned. Your Atarian heritage is awakening. Mary had felt it too. She was stronger, faster, her senses sharper. She could process information more quickly, see patterns she might have missed before. Is this happening to others? Like me, others with Atarian DNA. Vex nodded. We estimate approximately 1,000 humans carry significant Atarian genetic markers. Most are unaware of their heritage. But the more they interact with our technology, the more these traits will express themselves. She touched Mary's arm gently. You are the first but not the last bridge between our worlds. The door opened and Admiral Kelly returned alone. Her expression was unreadable. The council has questions, she said. Many questions, but they are willing to continue discussions. She looked at Vex. We will need proof verification. More than just Captain Sanders' demonstration. Vex nodded. I expected as much. What would convince you? Kelly considered. My scientist would need to examine your ship, your weapons, your data in detail. We would need to verify the existence of these void hunters independently. Perhaps a joint mission to observe them from a safe distance, and we would need to meet these other allies, Vex added. The other species you mentioned. We need to know who we're fighting alongside. Vex agreed to all conditions. That can be arranged. A summit perhaps. Representatives from all allied species meeting to coordinate our efforts. Mary felt a surge of hope. This was progress. At least the Council was considering the Alliance taking the threat seriously. Admiral Kelly turned to Mary Captain Sanders. Your role in this is unique. You understand both sides. You will serve as our primary liaison with the Atarians. Your experience with their technology makes you invaluable. She paused. You will also help us identify others like you, other humans with Atarian heritage. They may be critical to our defense efforts. Mary understood the implications. She would be responsible for finding others like herself, convincing them of their heritage, helping them adapt to abilities they never knew they had. The task was enormous but necessary. There is something else we must discuss. Vex said, her tone grave. The Void Hunters have agents infiltrators. They look like us, like you. They seek to undermine alliances, destroy cooperation before it begins. We must be vigilant. This new information sent a chill through Mary. Shape-shifting enemies could be anywhere, could already be on Earth. She looked at Admiral Kelly. This changes our security protocols. We need new methods to identify these infiltrators. Kelly nodded grimly, her mind already working on the implications. It seems this alliance grows more complicated, by the moment, but also more necessary. She extended her hand to Vex in a human gesture of agreement. We have much work to do. Commander Vex took Kelly's hand carefully, her alien fingers wrapping around the Admiral's. Indeed, Admiral Kelly. The preparation begins today. As they left the conference room, Mary felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. She was no longer just a transport captain, no longer even just a liaison. She was the bridge between worlds, the symbol of what humanity and Atarians could accomplish together, and perhaps the key to surviving the coming storm. 1 year passed since the first meeting between Earth leadership and Commander Vex. Mary stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Joint Defense Station orbiting Earth. The massive structure was a testament to how quickly things had changed, a hybrid of human and Atarian technology. It served as headquarters for the Alliance and home to representatives from all 5 allied species. Mary watched as ships moved around the station, human vessels now upgraded with Atarian technology, sleek Atarian cruisers, the crystalline structures of Nelvari ships, the organic-looking vessels of the Durrani, and the hive clusters of the Korriban. The sight still filled her with wonder and hope. Captain Sanders, Admiral Kelly called from behind. Her Mary turned to see the Admiral approaching along with Dr. Abernathy. The 2 women had become her closest allies in the past year. Kelly overseeing the military aspects of the Alliance, while Abernathy led the scientific research. Admiral Mary greeted with a nod. The summit begins in an hour. The other representatives have arrived. Kelly looked out at the assembled fleet. The Korriban Queen is not happy about sharing their hive mind technology. She seems to think humans are too individualistic to appreciate it. Mary smiled. The Korriban thought process was fascinating to her, but difficult for most humans to comprehend. She will come around. They all do. Eventually. The Alliance has progressed further than anyone expected, Dr. Abernathy consulted. Her tablet weave identified 812 humans with significant Atarian DNA markers. She reported, 653 have already begun training with the armor. The results are impressive. Their integration rate is nearly as high as yours. Mary wasn't surprised. Since going public with the Alliance and the truth about the Void Hunters, thousands of humans had volunteered for genetic testing. Those with Atarian markers were offered special training, becoming the core of Earth's new defense force. They called themselves the Bridgers, a name Mary had suggested. What about the infiltrator detection? Mary asked. This was still their greatest vulnerability. The knowledge that Void Hunter agents could be anywhere disguised. As any species had created paranoia in the early days of the Alliance, we have a breakthrough. Dr. Abernathy said, her eyes lighting up. The Nelvari crystal technology, combined with your armor modifications, can detect the unique energy signature of Void Hunter biology. She handed Mary a small device. It looks like a standard scanner, but it's much more. Mary examined the device. This could change everything. No more suspicion. No more accusations. We can know for certain who is who. Admiral Kelly seemed less enthusiastic. Remember, these are still prototypes. We need more testing before full deployment. But yes, it could be the advantage we've been looking for. She checked the time. We should head to the council chamber. The summit won't wait, even for the famous Captain Sanders. Mary smiled at the Admiral's teasing. Her status had grown almost mythical in the past year. The first humanitarian hybrid, the bridge between worlds, the face of the Alliance. It was a heavy burden, but one she carried willingly. The council chamber was the heart of the station, a massive circular room with seats for representatives of all 5 allied species. Mary took her place beside Vex, who nodded in greeting. The Atarian commander had become a close friend and mentor, helping Mary understand and develop her hybrid abilities. The other representatives filed in. The Nelvari, a crystalline being, whose body refracted light in mesmerizing patterns. The Korriban Queen, a massive insectoid whose compound eyes seemed to see everything. At once the Durrani ambassador, a fluid being contained in a special suit that allowed movement in air rather than water. And finally the human delegation led by Admiral Kelly. Mary looked around the table. These 5 species, so different in form and thought united by a common enemy. It still seemed miraculous. The summit began with status reports. Technology transfers were proceeding well. Joint training operations showed promise. The first line of deep space detection arrays was nearly complete. These would give them early warning when the Void Hunters entered their sector. Then came the difficult part. The Nelvari representative spoke its voice like chiming crystals. We have detected unusual transmissions from the Centauri sector. Possible Void Hunter scout ships. They appear to be moving faster than our models predicted. The room fell silent. This was not in the timeline. They should have had at least 15 more years to prepare. The Korriban Queen clicked her mandibles. Our hive scouts confirm unusual activity in that sector. Something is driving them forward, accelerating their expansion. Vex looked troubled. This changes our strategy. The weapons platforms in the outer systems are not yet operational. The fleet is at half strength. Admiral Kelly leaned forward. Then we adapt. We accelerate our timeline, focus resources on the most critical systems. Her eyes met Mary's. We knew this would be difficult. This just makes it more so. The Durrani ambassador bubbled in agitation. Our living ships require 3 more cycles to reach maturity. They cannot fight before then. Mary stood, drawing all eyes to her. We use what we have, she said firmly. The Bridgers are ready. Our enhanced ships can deploy immediately to strengthen the outer system defenses. The Korriban hive mind can coordinate our movements. The Nelvari crystals can power our weapons. The Atarian technology gives us shields. The Durrani can provide healing and support. She looked around the table. This is why we formed the Alliance. Because together we are stronger than apart. The representatives exchanged looks. Some seemed doubtful, others determined. Vex spoke next. Mary Sanders is right. We cannot wait for perfection. We must move now with what we have. The Void Hunters will exploit. Any hesitation plans were quickly revised. Resources reallocated. Ships reassigned. The summit continued late into the night as the Alliance adjusted to the new timeline. Mary found herself at the center of many discussions, her unique perspective, valued by all sides. When the meeting finally ended, Mary stood alone on the observation deck again, watching the stars. The knowledge that the enemy was closer than they thought filled her with dread but also determination. They had accomplished so much in a year. What might they achieve in 2 or 3 more? Captain Sanders. Vex said, joining her. You spoke well today. The others respect you." Mary smiled slightly. "They respect what I represent, the possibility of unity, the bridge between worlds." She turned to Vex. "Tell me honestly, do we have a chance?" Vex was silent for a long moment. "Before we found Earth, before we found you, I would have said no. The Void Hunters were too strong, too relentless. But now?" She looked at the hybrid fleet moving around. "The station now. I believe we might survive. Not just survive, but triumph." Her opal eyes met Mary's. "You have changed everything." Mary thought about how far she had come from a simple transport captain to the symbol of an interstellar alliance. Her life had changed forever the moment Vex's ship appeared on her radar. Yet she wouldn't change it even knowing the dangers ahead. The armor hummed against her skin, responding to her emotions. It had become part of her, a constant companion and reminder of her dual nature. She was neither fully human nor fully Etarian, but something new. Something that might be exactly what the Alliance needed. A soft alarm sounded. Vex's communication device. She checked it and her expression grew serious. "They are coming, Mary Sanders, sooner than we thought. A Void Hunter scout ship has been detected at the edge of your solar system." Mary's heart raced. "Is it certain?" Vex nodded. "The energy signature is unmistakable. They are testing our defenses, perhaps assessing our alliance." Mary made her decision. "Then we show them exactly what they're facing." She activated her own communicator. "Admiral Kelly, this is Sanders. We have confirmation of Void Hunter presence in the system. Request permission to lead the first." Response team. Kelly's voice came through clear and firm. "Permission granted. Captain Sanders, show them what humanity and our allies can do together." Mary turned to Vex. "Will you join me?" "Commander. First contact with the enemy should include both our species." Vex placed her hand on Mary's shoulder. "It would be my honor." Mary Sanders. The first battle of many, perhaps, but an important one. The Void Hunters will learn that this alliance is unlike anything they have faced before. As they walked toward the hangar bay where their ships waited, Mary felt a strange calm. Despite the danger, despite the overwhelming odds, she felt hope. The 5 species working together had already achieved what seemed impossible. They had put aside differences, focused on common goals, created new technologies and strategies. The armor adjusted to her movements, preparing for battle, enhancing her abilities. The hybrid ship they would fly combined the best of human and Etarian design. Mary thought of all the others, like her, the Bridgers waiting for her command. Humans with awakened Etarian abilities ready to defend their world. This was just the beginning, she knew. The first skirmish in what would likely be a long war, but they would face it together. 5 species, united against a common threat. And at the center of it all stood those like Mary. Neither one species nor another, but something new. Something that might just save them all. As her ship launched from the station, Mary looked back at Earth, glowing. Blue and green against the darkness of space. Everything she fought for was there, her home, her people, her future, and now she had the means to protect it. The soft blue glow from the ship control panel lit up Mary Sanders' face as she watched the strange vessel approach her small transport ship, the Starlight Wanderer. She was alone on this mission. A simple supply run to the outer colony that had become anything but simple when the alien craft appeared on her radar. She tried to stay calm as she prepared her weapons, but her heart beat fast against her chest. The alien ship was unlike any Mary had seen before. Smooth and curved like flowing water with strange symbols etched into its metallic surface. It moved with grace despite its massive size, making her small transport feel even smaller in comparison. The way it glided through space reminded Mary of sea creatures she had seen in old Earth documentaries. Something elegant and predatory. Communications came online with a soft beep. Mary jumped at the sound. Her fingers hovered over the acceptance button for a moment before she pressed it. She needed to know what they wanted. Mary froze as the screen filled with the image of the alien. The creature was clearly female with pale lavender skin and eyes that shimmered like opals. Her head was hairless but covered in intricate patterns that seemed to glow from within. She wore armor that looked both ancient and advanced, with pieces that moved and adjusted without being touched. The armor plates shifted slightly as the alien breathed, creating an almost hypnotic effect. The alien spoke. Her voice was melodic, but Mary understood nothing. It sounded like water flowing over crystal, with tones that rose and fell in patterns Mary could almost recognize, but not quite grasp. Mary cleared her throat. "I am Captain Mary Sanders from Earth. This is a peaceful mission." She kept her voice steady despite her fear. She represented humanity in this moment and would not show weakness. The alien tilted her head, studying Mary with those strange opal eyes. Then, to Mary's shock, she spoke in perfect English. "I am Commander Vex of the Atarian Fleet. We have been watching your kind for some time, human." Her voice had an accent that Mary couldn't place, something that made normal words sound exotic and ancient. Mary gripped her weapon tighter beneath the control panel. "How are you speaking? My language?" she asked, suspicion clear in her voice. Vex smiled, revealing teeth that seemed made of crystal. "We study all species before making contact. Your language was simple to learn, compared to others we have encountered." Mary noticed something odd about Vex's armor. It seemed to pulse with energy, responding to her movements like it was alive rather than just protective covering. The metal, if it was metal, changed colors slightly with each breath. Vex took shifting from deep purple to soft blue. "I need to board your vessel." Commander Vex said, "I come alone and unarmed." Her expression was unreadable, but there was something in her eyes that looked almost like desperation. Mary laughed. "That armor hardly looks unarmed. It looks like a weapon itself." She gestured at the shifting metal plates. Vex's expression changed to something Mary couldn't read. Was it amusement? Humans are observant. "I will remove my armor to show good faith." She raised her hands in what seemed to be a universal gesture of peace. Before Mary could respond, Vex began unfastening her armor. Piece by piece it came away, revealing more of the lavender skin beneath. The armor didn't just come off, it seemed to fold into itself, becoming smaller until Vex held only a small cube in her hand. It glowed with inner light, pulsing like a heartbeat. Mary stared in amazement. The armor technology alone was beyond anything humans had developed. It seemed almost alive, responding to its wearer, like a symbiotic organism rather than a tool. Vex now wore a simple bodysuit that clung to her tall, slender form. "May I board now, Captain Sanders?" she asked, still holding the cube in her open palm. The gesture seemed significant somehow, like an offering against her better judgment, and all protocol. Mary agreed. She needed to know why this advanced alien wanted to meet. Her curiosity overrode her caution, but she still kept her hand near her weapon. As the captain of her ship, she had authority to make first contact decisions, and she chose to take this risk. The airlock cycled and Mary waited, weapon ready, as the inner door opened. Vex ducked to enter the human ship. She was taller than Mary had realized, nearly 7 feet, with long limbs and movements that seemed too graceful. For her size, she looked around the human vessel with obvious interest, touching the walls gently as if feeling the texture. Mary kept her distance. "Why are you here, Commander? What brings an Atarian ship to human space?" Her voice was firm, masking her anxiety beneath professionalism. Vex held out the cube that contained her armor. A gift from one warrior to another. She said simply. The cube hummed softly, the sound vibrating through the air between them. Mary didn't move. "That doesn't answer my question. Why seek out a simple transport, Captain? Why not contact Earth directly?" Her suspicion grew. This encounter made no sense. Vex placed the cube on a nearby table. "Your people face extinction. Mary Sanders." Her voice became grave. "A threat approaches from deep space. We have faced them before, barely survived. They consume entire worlds, their ships darken skies. They show no mercy." Mary felt cold fear wash over her. This was not a first contact, this was a warning. And somehow she believed Vex immediately. The alien's eyes held too much remembered pain to be lying. "How long do we have?" Mary asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Vex stepped closer. 20 of your Earth years. Perhaps less. We offer an alliance. Our technology, your human creativity and resilience, together we might stand a chance. Her hand rested near the cube. It pulsed faster now as if responding to her emotions. Mary looked at the cube. Is that why you're giving me your armor? To start this alliance. Vex nodded. It will respond to you as it does. To me it learns, adapts, becomes part of you. Human armor is primitive. This will give your scientists something to study, something to help prepare for what comes. She pushed the cube closer to. Mary approached the cube cautiously. What do you get? From this alliance, why choose humans? We must seem primitive to your kind. Vex smiled again. Hope, Commander Sanders. Something my people had lost until we discovered yours. Your species is young, but you fight with passion. You adapt quickly. You never surrender even when logic says you should. We need that spirit. The enemy we face is cold, calculating, relentless. We need unpredictability to have any chance. Mary reached for the cube. It hummed under her fingers, warm and somehow alive, like touching a living thing. The surface shifted beneath her touch, responding to her in ways that seemed impossible for inanimate matter. Suddenly the cube unfolded, revealing a smaller item inside, a data crystal glowing with inner light. The crystal had shapes within it that moved and shifted like living galaxies. This contains everything, Mary Sanders. Vex said. Her voice was solemn. Star maps, fleet positions, weapons technology, and something else. The reason I came personally to find you. Mary looked up, questioning. The way Vex said it made it clear this wasn't a random encounter. Your name was known to us before I arrived here. Vex said. Her opal eyes seemed to look through Mary, rather than at her. Your ancestral DNA matches something in our records. Your great-grandmother was not entirely human. She was part of an experiment long ago. Mary stepped back, shocked. What are you saying? This can't be true. My family is from Earth, has always been from Earth. Vex touched Mary's hand gently. You are part Atarian. A distant hybrid. Your grandmother was part of an early study. The Atarian blood in you is why I am here. Why this armor responded to your ship. It sensed you, called to you. It recognized family. Mary stared at her own hands. They looked human, felt human, but suddenly, her entire life made new sense. Her quick reflexes, her unusual strength, her ability to see patterns others missed. The way she had always felt slightly different, disconnected from those around her. This changes everything, Mary whispered, looking at her reflection in the ship's window, trying to see if there was anything alien in her features. Not everything, Vex replied. It only explains. You are still human, Mary Sanders, but you are also something more. And you may be exactly what both our species need to survive what comes, the bridge between worlds that was always the hope of the original experiment, to create beings who could unite us against common threats.